The envelope arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, though I couldn't remember hearing the mail slot clink or the postman's footsteps on the porch. It simply appeared on my kitchen table, its edges slightly curled as if it had been carried through damp air. The paper felt unnaturally thick between my fingers, more like skin than stationery, and when I turned it over, I saw the wax seal, black as a widow's veil, imprinted with what looked like a sickle or perhaps a crescent moon. I used my thumb to break the seal, and the moment I did, a smell wafted up, rich, loamy earth, the kind that clings to a freshly dug grave, underscored by something sweetly putrid. The scent made my stomach clench. Inside, a single sheet of paper, yellowed with age. The handwriting was unmistakable. "Come to Blackfield Farm," it read in my grandfather's precise, looping script. The last harvest. My hands began to shake. My grandfather had been dead for 20 years. I remembered the funeral, how the late August heat had made the church pews sticky, how the open casket had revealed his waxy, sunken face, lips sewn shut with thick black thread. The priest had said it was tradition, but even at 6 years old, I'd known that was a lie. The farm wasn't on any map. After Grandma disappeared there in '83, my father had burned every photo, every document that mentioned it. But the directions in the letter were exact, written as if the sender knew I'd need them. Take Route 17 past the dead oak. Turn left where the crows gather thickest. Drive until the road ends. Do not stop, no matter what you hear knocking at your windows. I told myself I was going for answers, for closure, for proof that this was some sick joke. I lied. The sky had turned the color of a bruise by the time I reached the dead oak. It stood at the edge of a fallow field, its branches skeletal, its trunk split down the middle as if struck by lightning. A noose swung gently from the lowest limb, empty, the rope frayed with age. I turned left where the crows gathered, just as the letter said. Hundreds of them lined the telephone wires, their beady eyes tracking my car as I passed. None of them cawed. The silence was worse than any sound. The road narrowed, then vanished altogether, swallowed by weeds and creeping vines. My tires crunched over something brittle, not sticks, I realized with a jolt, but bones. Small ones. Bird or rabbit, I told myself, though the shape of a tiny skull flashed in my headlights before I rolled over it. Then, through the trees, I saw it. Blackfield Farm. The two-story farmhouse hunched in the clearing like a starving beast, its clapboard siding weathered to a sickly gray. The wraparound porch sagged under an invisible weight, and the windows, filthy, cracked, reflected the dying light in a way that made them look like eyes. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear my own pulse in my ears. That's when the front door creaked open. No wind had blown it open. No animal had nudged it. The door simply swung inward, revealing a yawning darkness. I should have turned back. I should have run. I stepped inside. The smell hit me first, mildew and something meaty, like old blood soaked into wood. The walls were papered with newspaper clippings, yellowed and brittle. My flashlight beam caught the headlines. Local boy, 8, vanishes in corn maze, no footprints found. Farmer claims something took his daughter. Police find no evidence. Mistress Blackfield family found dead in cellar. Coroner baffled by missing organs. Beneath the last clipping, a child's handprint, rust-brown and smeared, as if someone had dragged their fingers down the wall. The floorboards groaned under my weight. To my left, a grandfather clock stood sentinel in the parlor, its face shattered, its hands frozen at 3:17. When I reached out to touch it, the glass was warm. A floorboard creaked upstairs. Thump. Drag. Thump. Something was up there, and it knew I'd arrived. I barricaded myself in what must have been the master bedroom, pushing a dresser against the door. The bed was stripped bare, the mattress stained with something dark that flaked when I touched it. I didn't sleep. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the singing started. A child's voice, high and reedy, floated up from the kitchen below. Ring around the rosy.
I set bol tu pride, my sweat gun cold.
The digital clock on my phone flashed 3:17, then reset to midnight. The singing stopped.
Silence.
Then, pocket full of posies. Closer now. At the foot of the stairs. I pulled the blanket over my head like I was 8 years old again, praying the monsters couldn't see me if I couldn't see them. The wood creaked under something's weight.
Astérisque, achise, astérisque. À col d'onde touchait de maillancle. Astérisque, achise, astérisque.
I screamed, kicking out blindly. The room was empty. But on the floorboards, 5 muddy fingerprints circled my bed. By morning, I was determined to leave. My car wouldn't start. The radio spat static, then a whisper, asterisk, you'll stay for the harvest. Asterisk. The cellar door, nailed shut with rusted crosses, now stood ajar. I took the stairs one at a time, the wood groaning under my weight. The air smelled of wet soil and copper. My flashlight beam caught rows of mason jars lining the shelves, their contents glistening in the weak light. Not preserves. Fingers floated in brine, their nails blackened with age. A tongue, curled like a dead slug. And eyes, dozens of them, pupils blown wide in eternal terror. The dirt floor was disturbed. Not by a shovel. By something clawing its way out. They came at dusk. At first, I thought it was the corn swaying. Then I saw the shapes between the stalks, tall, too tall, their limbs knotted like old roots. They dragged sides behind them, blades scraping bone. The front door slammed shut. The child's voice giggled in my ear, asterisk, time to reap what we sow. Asterisk. The last thing I saw before the scythe fell was the grandfather clock. Its hands finally moving, ticking backward.